Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Hearthstone. So today we are going to be putting my newest rogue deck through its paces. If you haven't seen the overview video for it or looked at the deck list on hearthpwn in the guide, feel free to do that. The links are going to be in the description. But otherwise, let's get right into it. Okay, so our first match is going to be up against a druid.
I must protect the one.
Watch your step.
Okay, so for mulligan strategies, this is not a bad hand. The druid doesn't really have a lot of good ways to deal with a turn 1 abusive sergeant unless he coins out his shapeshift, which is only a victory for us. And the backstab is good for comboing into the Perdition's Blade on turn 3 or an SI7, so I'm actually going to keep this exactly as it is. Okay, so simple play. Normally you don't want to play the Abusive Sergeant on turn 1, especially if it's against a class that can easily remove it. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. So, we've burned out his coin for nothing here. But in the case of rogues especially, and even druids too, they'll take a damage, and they lose the coin, and they lose...
Here we go.
they lose a turn essentially, they lose momentum. So, that's not a bad trade. The next turn, we can easily backstab something that he has, if he has it out, and we can coin out the, or rather combo out the Perdition's Blade. That's perfect. The other thing we can do is do the SI7, and I think it might be best to do the SI7. That said, though, well, no, let's do the SI7. The reason being that I could combo Deadly Poison into the SI7 next turn, but I think that having board presence here is more important. Because, of course, then we can just keep on hitting him.
This guy's toast.
Here we go.
And we get full value out of our free hero power daggers, which is never a bad thing. Okay, he's gonna burn a Wrath on it. That's not bad. Okay, perfect. So, we have a choice here. We can either put out a 3-3 for 2 with the Bloodsail Raider, or we can be mana inefficient this turn and put out a 4-3 for 2 next turn. I actually think that the right choice here is to put out the 3-3.
Here we go.
The great thing about the Bloodsail Raider, if you are a rogue, is that it will basically be guaranteed to have more than its value. 2 mana for a 3-3 is basically just going to happen with the rogue, but especially if you have a Deadly Poison Assassin's Blade, or even Deadly Poison Perdition's Blade, you will have a very strong creature in your hands. Okay, so he took very little out of that. So I think what we're going to do here is Thalnos Perdition's Blade. Do the most damage, and I think we're actually going to take him out myself, so that the creature can keep on hitting. We have Deadly Poison and Blade Flurry for emergencies, and now it will hit for 5 if he lets Thalnos live, because Blade Flurry absolutely is affected by spell power. And maybe that's the thing to do here. Yes, it certainly is. So this is going to get us out of a jam. Oh, and good, we have another of our win conditions that we've just drawn. So we play Deadly Poison, and we use Blade Flurry. Everybody takes 5, his board is clean, and I can even still attack. There's a lot of great momentum that can happen with this deck. Now if I get Shadow Step next turn, which is certainly a possibility, then I win. Even if I don't, I'm in a strong place. And this will be to take out Thalnos, presumably. Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, so, let's see here, what can we do? If we hit him for 2, can hit him for 2, put down a 3/3. That means he'll be at 11. The unfortunate part is that I don't have a good way to clear his board after I put down the Leroy, so we're going to have to wait for that. So I think the thing to do here is just to play the Bloodsail Raider, ignore the Yeti, maybe even, well, we're going to get new daggers regardless, and I think we're even going to put down the Big Game Hunter. Well, no. I win next turn if he doesn't clear my board, so that's okay. The Big Game Hunter is important to keep around for druids. He's getting to the point of the game where he can put his big creatures out. Okay, Force of Nature. And with this, I'd imagine he's going to clean my board rather than actually hit me, which is only good, because he's going to waste all of those creatures on my 2 mana minions. So that was an excellent deflection of any sort of any rush there. Okay, so I think that what we're going to do here is we are going to put up the Big Game Hunter now. Just because now we could have done it last turn. I'm glad we didn't though, just because it would have died immediately to the Force of Nature. Now it's a bit safer. This will not help against something like an Ironbark Protector, but hopefully Shadow Step will be coming soon.
Where shall I strike?
Yep, sure. And he will give me a card, which is sort of what I was hoping for. Okay, that's even better. Now I can certainly last it a turn here. Ah, perfect. So, let's see. What's the best way of dealing with this? So I think absolutely we're going to sprint. Certainly we are. And I think it's going to seem like a bit of a waste, but simply because I really do want to inflict as much damage as I can here. I have win conditions very much for next turn. I'd like to get the Druid of the Claw out of the way. I don't think that he can kill me next turn if I'm at 16 health. I might be wrong, but we're going to give this a shot. So I'm going to Deadly Poison, and we're going to trade. Not ideal, but if he doesn't get another taunt up, next turn I win with the Shadow Step Leroy. And even if not, well, there are ways to get around it with the Perdition's Blade, so I think we're in a good place. Okay, excellent. Excellent. So, let's see here. Yep, no, this is a win.
Well played.
So, Leroy. Hit for 6. Shadow Step. Back down for 2. And Deadly Poison Knife. It doesn't even need to be Deadly Poisoned. But there you go. Nice first game for this deck. I really do like how it plays. Oh, there we go, and it's a win streak even. I really do like how it plays. It's been a lot of fun to use this one. Alright, let's keep this up. Okay, so we have another Druid.
I must protect the wild.
This opening hand is not as nice as in our first one, but let's see what we can do here. So we're not going to keep this. Now, Thalnos is not usually an early game play. This is one of those tough mulligans because essentially all of these cards are good and they have low mana cost, but it's a question of which ones are going to be most applicable in the early game. I think I would like to keep the Blade Flurry, but I'm going to get rid of Thalnos and Eviscerate. Is that right? No, I think I'm going to get rid of Blade Flurry. Usually the Druid won't fill the board in good enough time to make Blade Flurry worth it. Okay, very spell-oriented hand here. We do have a means of getting rid of something big if he innervates it out, though. I think we're going to coin Loot Hoarder here. Okay, he's going to take it out and give me a card, take some damage. not a bad trade to make. Okay, so basically no real options here. So we're just going to daggers and hit him in the face. This was a bad draw for us. We do have the backstab eviscerate combo though, so we can take out a druid with the claw if he innervates one out, for instance. Okay. That is not a druid of the claw. We can also play the abusive sergeant, eviscerate this, and then hit it with the knives. I think that's not actually a bad play.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
Yeah, we're gonna eviscerate it anyway, so the attack bonus is irrelevant. Now, why that play? Well, I wanted to get a creature on the board. We have Sen'jin for next turn. And the other thing is that this deck does like to be more controlling. We're so good, rogues are so good at controlling the board, and this deck is no different at all. You certainly want to be controlling the board here. Okay. So we could backstab Perdition's Blade here, but the Sen'jin, I think, is the superior option. We can use the backstab Perdition's Blade next turn if we need to. The other thing, of course, is that we can backstab Perdition's Blade, hit, and Blade Flurry next turn if we need to. We can have a very big board clear if he gives us reason to. Okay. Well, that's not bad. He's sort of unwittingly given us a free kill with the Perdition's Blade. Although he hasn't really, because I need to combo it out to make that work. So I think the Azure Drake is not a terrible plan, but by the same token, then he will just get it for free. So I think, unfortunately, we have to eviscerate here, which I don't like. But the only other option really would have been to put out the Drake and sacrifice it, essentially. We're going to hold on to the Perdition's Blade, just because we can hit with it and then Blade Flurry. We have a lot of options, and Deadly Poison will make that even better. Yep. Well, that's what I'm going to do. Or is it? Let's see. So what we could do, instead, is we can put out the Bloodsail Raider, which will then be a 4/3 for 2 mana. We can then backstab the Azure Drake. We can hit this with the daggers, and then we can Blade Flurry to kill everything and hit his clear his board and kill him, or hit him rather. So I don't think that's a terrible play, and you get a new set of daggers from that as well. Okay, you know, let's do that.
X marks the spot.
Here we go.
Usually you want to use Blade Flurry a little bit more optimally, but by the same token, if you can use it to clean out a board and get advantage, even if it is only a couple of creatures like that, I mean, I hit him in the face as well, and so essentially I did 6 damage there for 2 mana, which is really not a bad deal. Blade Flurry is a very versatile card that way, and if you happen to get Deadly Poison on something and get, you know, 4 or 5 damage worth of stuff between both of your dagger and spell power, it's just such a phenomenal thing. Now, this turn we could sprint. We can also put out the Azure Drake depending on what we draw. The Azure Drake and the Loot Hoarder is a lot of cards, so I do like that. So I think we're going to... Okay, Assassin's Blade is nice to have.
Mind if I roll need?
And unfortunately, since we can't kill that Druid this turn, I think we're actually just going to leave it. Next turn we can put out the Assassin's Blade, so we'll leave it for then.
My shield for Argus.
Okay. Blade Flurry would be nice right about now. so that I could Assassin's Blade and Blade Flurry. Interesting, okay. So we are going to... I think we're going to Assassin's Blade here. And we are going to take out this ourselves. We're going to take this out, and we will trade for the extra card. Which is good. We'll keep that in hand for combos. And the fact that next turn we can play the Drake and get the Defender for free.
I dream and
Sarah. Our sap would be handy right at the moment. Failing that, though, I think the Azure Drake to kill the Defender is not a bad play. The Shadow Step is nice. It's very good for sort of insta-victories. Put this out there, too.
here we go.
Now, the funny thing is, if I get Leroy this turn and he doesn't put up a taunt, I actually win. And so we will be sprinting, I think, to try and draw into that. Because if we don't get that, pretty soon we're going to be looking at a problem. And actually, we may be looking at it now. Yep, there's the Force of Nature combo. Yep, so he's got this. Well, there's not a whole lot you can do against that combo. That essentially did, what, 21 damage, I think? 20? So, that's a tough thing to recover from. Nonetheless, though, I think that went okay for how it went. So we were close to getting our win condition, so that's not such a bad thing. Anyway, let's do one more. Well, let's do a couple more. Okay, so here we are up against a hunter. Typically a hard matchup for rogues. So let's see how we can actually handle this. None of the things in this opening hand are going to help us against something that's like a strong aggro rush hunter. This is a bit better, though. The backstab is good. The Blade Flurry is excellent for clearing a lot of small minions, so that's not a bad thing. Okay. We have a lot of spells at the moment. We have a lot of answers in our hand. Including a Shadow Stepped Big Game Hunter, although I don't think that will be applicable here. That said, a turn 1 Flare and a turn 2 Steady Shot actually says to me Control Hunter, not a Rush Hunter. Which is good. That tips the tide more in our favor. I think we're going to put down the Big Game Hunter because we don't have any minions. And outside of using something like an Arcane Shot, which is certainly a possibility, but if he has a Control Hunter he may not even have, that's a tough thing to get rid of. Of course, if he has Explosive Shot, then it is not. Or Explosive Trap, rather. Okay, so we are going to put out daggers, and once this immediately dies... oh, it's Misdirection, okay. That's actually not so bad for us. Oh, he actually took damage from that. That's a weird thing. Huh, I didn't even realize that was that could happen. Okay, anyway, so we can put down the Bloodsail Raider, which is a 3/3 for 2, which is not a bad deal. We could also hold it until next turn, where it could be a deadly poisoned thing, and so it'd be a 5/3 for 2. I think we're actually just going to play it now, though.
X marks the spot.
Here we go.
We still have a lot of answers in hand. We haven't used any, so we're in a good place that way. This is going to be Unleash the Hounds. Wow. Okay, well, we have a Blade Flurry, so that's not a problem, but he's going to clear my board with it. It's actually a victory for us that it was so used so poorly there. Okay, so it's a bit of a shame to use a Blade Flurry here, and in fact I don't think I will. You're always cognizant about sort of trying to be quick against a hunter, but I just don't think that's worth it. A backstab could be, it's probably the best option here. We're going to backstab and we'll actually hit the dog ourselves. And then what we'll do is we'll get new daggers, we will put down, well, we won't put on Deadly Poison this turn, I guess. We'll put down Thalnos. The reason I'm hesitant to put down Deadly Poison is because if he uses an ooze, then I lose everything for free, as opposed to even getting one hit. So, plus it's a good combo starter, so we'll keep it in hand. Okay, Deadly Shot. So we get a card. Great. So I'm glad we did save the Deadly Poison. Although it's irrelevant, it would have worked next turn too. This is a very controlling hunter. It's very atypical, frankly. I'm not drawing any of my creatures, only all of my removal, which is really not pleasant. But nonetheless, I think we're going to hit him, and just for, well, it's a tough decision to make. I could eviscerate him in the face and hit him for 4. That's not a terrible choice, but also I am worried about dropping creatures, right? I'm worried about the fact that he's going to put out big stuff because he's a control hunter. So I think I have to keep them in hand, even though it would be nice to get in some extra damage and use the 3 mana I'm leaving. Okay, that's probably a misdirection. Certainly it is if he's, okay, so I think here, what's the reasonable choice? Blade Flurry followed by Assassin's Blade, maybe? And what we can do is we could Shadow Step the Bloodsail Raider, but we'll have to see. Just to replay it with the Assassin's Blade buff. But I don't think that'll be necessary. This is probably another misdirection. And it's going to suck to take 5 damage, but I don't have a lot of other options. Oh, it's a Freezing Trap. That's even better. That's much better, in fact. We will do this. We'll hit him. And we'll go forward, and we can play the Bloodsail down for another, for a 6/3 minion. For 4, which is actually still a great value. That's how excellent of a value this card is. Even if you double its mana cost, it can be very much mana efficient. Okay. Interesting play. That's his only other buzzer, and it will not get him any cards. At this point, he's just cognizant about rushing me down, I guess. So we'll play the Bloodsail Raider. We will take...
This guy's tough.
Oh, I misspoke. It's not 6/3. It's only 5/3. But nonetheless, it's still 5/3 for 4 is still actually good value. Now, I could very well be dead, but by the same token, I have 2 Eviscerates, so if he doesn't kill me this turn, I think I win. I just need 1 card to play for combo, and I do win. And I can't play any of them. Is that relevant, though? 2 and 6 and 9. Yep, no, it's fine.
Well played.
1 Eviscerate and 2 Eviscerates. There we go. That was reasonably close. I wouldn't call that an overwhelming victory, but I also had a very bad card draw there. Very bad card draw. I got none of my minions it was all removal spells. So on that level, I'm not actually sad about that. I think that that was a strong example of how you can control a control deck right back. So great. Let's keep going. Okay, against a priest. Priests are sort of weird because, frankly, you don't see very many of them on the ladder. They're getting more popular. And for the record, I think we're going to keep exactly this hand. That's a good turn 1 play, and this is a good turn 3 combo, so we'll keep this. Yeah, priests are rare on the ladder, and as a result, it's tough to know what to do with them. They typically these days are taking a very strong late game control approach, so it's usually best to try to rush them down, but they are very, very good at control. So we'll see what happens here. This will be a good test. I've never played this deck against a priest before. Okay, this is a very slow start.
Here we go.
And I can't really combo it, so, but that's okay. We still get value out of the Perdition's Blade. Thought Steal. This is going to be a very, very controlling deck. Okay, so we'll get out the minion, and we'll just keep on burning it down.
Here we go.
Next turn is the Azure Drake, unless something weird happens, which it likely will. Turn 4 is a good time for priests to do things. Turn 5 is even better. Is he gonna Holy Nova? No, Azure Drake, okay. I would have been happy about a Holy Nova, it would have been very wasted. So we could Deadly Poison Blade Flurry here. If we did that, we are wasting... No, you know what, we're just going to backstab him and hit the Abusive Sergeant while drawing our own. That's a much smarter play. So we're going to backstab and Abusive Sergeant. It's especially a smart play because next turn it may well be the best thing to do to Deadly Poison, Bloodsail Raider to get the nice and juicy 6/3 for 2 mana, and then Blade Flurry.
X marks the spot.
That's funny. So I think that is actually exactly what we're going to do. Deadly Poison, Bloodsail Raider for a 6/3. Brilliant, and we will Blade Flurry. Everybody gets hit for 5, and he is down to very little health. Now the priest has a lot of answers to this. This game is not won yet, but the likelihood is that it very much is. This is a strong showing here. Okay, and that's certainly one of the ways that you can solve a lot of those problems. I was a little bit afraid of that, but not much for it.
Is someone injured?
Okay, and we win.
Well played. Here we
So,
go.
that game is a good example of how, essentially, this is meant to be a control deck in a lot of ways. It's a mid-range deck, but it is quite controlling with all of its spells. I mean, we saw that last game against the Control Hunter. But against a really strong control deck, which clearly this was trying to be, we can do just as well. We can actually be quite aggressive. We can get a lot of creatures on the board with a good draw, and really push it. So that was a strong game as well. Let's do one more, and then we'll wrap it up and talk about it.
Valera versus Jaina.
Okay, and we're going to finish out with a mage.
Watch your back.
Okay, so now the Abusive Sergeant is a more debatable play against a mage in the first turn, simply because they can use the hero power. The thing is, if they coin out a hero power, that's actually a bit of a victory for us. It means they're not coining out something else, and it also means probably they're not going to pump up a mana worm with it. which is also really good in the early game. So I think we are going to keep this just like this, and we will play the Abusive Sergeant on turn 1. Usually, it is not a strong play to play a 2-1 against a mage in particular, but if you can play it on the first turn, it has a little bit of an exception. If she coins out a hero power, yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, okay. Perfect. And now we get to trade up. That was sheer luck, to be fair, but sheer luck nonetheless. That's great.
Here we go.
Job done.
Now, the reason I got daggers instead of putting down the Bloodsail Raider is because next turn I get a 3/3 for 2 mana,
It's time for a little blood.
as opposed to a 2/3 this turn, which is going to turn out to be good because we'll take that out. Now, the other thing we could do is we could put the Perdition's Blade. The problem with that is that we will take 5 damage because we will hit an enraged Imani. So, I'm not so keen on that. So we will put out the 3/3. It'll be mana inefficient,
Here we go.
but that's okay. Okay, the Leper Gnome. Alright, and this will attack me. Okay. So, we are going to backstab the Leper Gnome and Perdition's Blade the Imani Berserker. And then we have a clean board.
Here we go.
There we go. Next turn, if we don't draw something better, it'll be the Sengen. And we'll see where it goes from there.
For the crusade!
Scarlet Crusader, okay. We do love it when our enemies are mana inefficient. Okay, so we could do a lot of things here. But I think, like, the Eviscerate and the SI7 is not a bad thing. But let's think about the possible routes there. So we could Eviscerate her face, SI7 Agent the shield, and then hit the minion for that. And what that leaves us with is 2 3/3s on the board, which is not actually a bad thing to have. The other alternative is the 3/5 taunt. Either way, we still do 3 damage to her. I don't want to leave the Eviscerate though. In terms of I don't want to lose it this early. We could Shadow Step the Bloodsail, and do the exact same thing. Oh, gee, okay. Well, quick decisions. We are going to Eviscerate her face. We are going to do that thing that I said. Hit her
Here we
and
go.
kill this. Okay. Didn't realize I had taken that long to make that decision. That was a tough decision. But I think having more damage on the board is the better option, especially because it doesn't allow her to do very much. We can take it down to 10 this turn, and we have our own, we have Sengen and daggers, so I think we will Sengen here, as opposed to the Azure Drake. We'll just continue to hit,
Here we go.
and just try to rush her down. Next, we have lethal on the board, which is a nice thing to have, and we can draw into a lot of things here to accelerate this. Okay, Polymorph. She will trade, and allow me to get the Azure Drake with the sheep. Okay, so do we win is the question. So well, hang on. So if we Abusive Sergeant, we can do 5 and 6 and 7. So no, we don't win. So if that's the case, we're going to do this. We are going to play the Azure Drake. We get the Loot Hoarder. Do we Abusive Sergeant or do we Loot Hoarder? I think we Loot Hoarder. Just for the cards, and especially in the likelihood that Flame Strike is going to hit next turn. I think that's just a nice play to make. Yep. We get the recursive Loot Hoarder. Leroy would have been nice there, but that's okay. I think we are going to put down Thalanos just for the card draw at this point. We're going to save the Abusive Sergeant to, if she doesn't clear my board, to just win next turn, essentially. She needs to clear both of those or put up a taunt, or else she loses.
Put this apple on your head.
Okay, so if we get the right card draw, we win. And we do.
Well played. Here we go.
There we go. So now the best part about all of this, so that was a good victory. I think we were in control for a lot of that game. Oh, beautiful. And we're up to rank 7 now. We were in control for a lot of that game. But I think one of the things that was great about it was just that, essentially, we had a lot of win conditions that we didn't draw, that we could have drawn. So, for instance, Leroy was still in the deck, and that would have solved it then and there. We had a number of other things. We had another Eviscerate hanging around in there. We had Blade Flurries that could have done it. So we have a lot of answers early game, we have a lot of aggression early game, but we also have a lot of win conditions too. So I think that was a really strong showing there. So, all in all, I think that this deck is really quite effective at what it does. It's a bit different from my Spellsword deck. In fact, it is quite a bit different. But by the same token, it has a lot of the same good features. It focuses a lot more on the weapons, and I think that it makes it a very enjoyable, a different experience, but a very enjoyable experience. So in any case, if you like this, go ahead and like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. If you have any comments about what you think could change here, what you think might be better, more effective, feel free to leave that in the comments on here or on Hearthstone, and I will try it out and maybe even make more videos to sort of to test them, just like I did with my other one. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Okay, up against another mage here. I wasn't going to play another match, but I'm one thing away from doing the my rogue quest for the day, and then we can get a pack out of it, so, you know, it'd be fun to do on camera. Leroy is out, and otherwise, no, I think this is alright. We don't have anything to combo into the SI7, but we may well draw it, and it's just it's a 3-3 for 3. So, in a lot of ways, so is the Bloodsail Raider if you play it that way. It's a 3 for 2, but you tend to play it on the second or on the third turn, so functionally it's the same as the SI7. And in fact, it might be the better play if I don't get anything to draw next turn. Okay, turn 1 Mana Worm. Very, very standard. So the Loot Hoarder is not a bad idea, but I think the daggers and the 3-3 is probably the better choice.
Here we go.
Let the pain speak to me.
Okay, so I think we get a 3-3 out on the table.
X marks the spot.
Here we go.
It's time for a little blood.
Okay, so this is a fairly scary play from the mage here. And we don't really have a lot of cards to deal with it. So, we could get ourselves some daggers. We could also, I think we're going to play the Loot Hoarder.
Mind if I roll knee?
And we will play the Eviscerate. Now, the Eviscerate, it's a good question as to where it's going to go. So, it would be nice to get rid of the Acolyte. It's nice to get rid of the Acolyte and probably the Berserker. The Mana Worm, a spell will likely be incoming next turn, so the Mana Worm will get a little bit scary, but I think that it's probably the least threatening of the three. Next turn is the Azure Drake, or potentially the Assassin's Blade. Yeah, there we go. I think the Assassin's Blade is the strong choice, unless I pick up a backstab here. Yeah, the Azure Drake is still a really nice choice. I like it quite a bit. I think I will do this because I might play into a backstab, which would then kill it. Yeah, okay. I only had a 1 in 21 chance there, but at least now I have a 4/4 minion on the board, which he can profitably trade with if he hits. But oh, okay, he can really profitably trade for it if he does that. Okay, so we can try our luck at the roulette again, but I think we are just going to not do that.
Go.
Now, right now for the mage, she's in a very good position, or at least she looks like she is. She has me down at 14. She may well have a Pyroblast, but she is out one of her fireballs, so that's good at least. Okay, what I'd love right now is a Blade Flurry. With the Deadly Poison and all. I think what we're going to do actually is Azure Drake and then Sap. Yeah, we're going to sap the Water Elemental. And I'm not going to take Thalnos out because I don't want to give her more cards. I just am going to start hitting her. Deadly Poison will come next turn, at the very least, and then I'll get 10 damage out of it. Hopefully, though, Blade Flurry will be inbound. The other thing is that next turn I have two pieces of 2 damage to do if I so desire. Really would like the Blade Flurry, though. That would be very, very nice. Unfortunately, no dice. Okay, so the Abusive Sergeant and Deadly Poison, and then the 2 SI7 agents seems fairly strong. Dumps a lot of cards. The other thing is I could do a Sen'jin, but I think we won't. So Abusive Sergeant, Deadly Poison, SI7 on the Thalnos, and SI7 on her face. Now this is almost assuredly going to result in a Flame Strike.
Here we go.
And yeah, we will do this instead of her face. Almost assuredly going to result in a Flame Strike. But we have Sprint, and we have a Sen'jin to follow this up. So I'm not super concerned about that. It'd actually be better, frankly, if she just wasted the turn. That said, if she doesn't Flame Strike, we have a lot of damage on the board here. We can turn this around quite quickly. This is 12 on the board, and I have 5 in hand with the dagger, and I have Perdition's Blade. Oh, she's not going to Flame Strike. Oh, wow. Okay, so we actually have a chance to turn this around here. Oh, we certainly have a chance to turn this around. That's not a victory, is it? So, 6, 8, 13, and 6 is 19. That's not enough. Crap, it's so close. Okay, so I think we have to... What do we have to do here? I think we're going to Sen'jin. We are going to trade both of our SI7 agents. Is that right? Yeah. Trade both of our SI7 agents and then Perdition's Blade the Yeti.
Hey, lights out. Hey, lights out.
Here we go.
It is not in any way, shape, or form nice, but especially because we're so close, we could have done it. But this is safer, probably. We do have Sprint to recover with as well, so that's a nice touch. Looks a lot worse from her perspective. I look in a lot worse position than I am, I think. Especially with Leroy sitting there. On the board right now we have 8 damage.
What to do? What to do?
And we have 10 if we count the daggers, which is actually enough for lethal next turn. But I can't imagine that she won't kill the SI7 agent with the hero power here. She would have to have a hell of a play to not do that. Faceless Manipulator. Wow, okay. I had not expected that. An mana worm. Wow, okay. So, I think here that... Let's see. Yeah, I think that sprint is the correct thing. And we'll go from there. The Blade Flurry is very nice. If I get Deadly Poison here... Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so Deadly Poison Blade Flurry will do... how much damage? It will do 4 damage to everything. So that means we have to backstab the Sinjin. Now, I would have liked to use this for damage. I would have liked to get another hit out of it, but that's okay. We still have a taunt up, and we have win conditions next turn. She needs to clear out my board. Okay. Great. As long as she doesn't taunt that up.
Shields up.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. We have a big game hunter. What am I talking about? One of the reasons that I have the big game hunter in this deck is precisely this.
I've got the beast in my sight.
Well played.
And the best part is, I could pump it up with the Abusive Sergeant, but instead I'm going to kill her with a sheep. Oh, and she concedes. Oh well. One of my favorite things in the world to do is to kill the mage with her own sheep. In any case, great. And now I've completed my rogue quest for the day, and so we get to do a fun thing. We get to open a pack. Alright, let's go do that. Just a dust pack, probably. Yep, nothing special there. Oh well. Great, well, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.